We're back. Let's try this again. Let's get right to it. This is the second part of my video before I got interrupted for not having enough space. Clearly, we're going to have to work on this. But so here's 4th of July at my house, mid-70s. I'm thinking around 76 or 77 maybe. There's my cousin, Katie, at my house. The flag is flying. Look, she's standing there. She's cute. And then here's my mom waiting on everybody. Here's my, let's see, mom is waiting on everybody. There's my Aunt Olivia, my Pepe there, Bunny, some other people, my Vivian's husband there, and yeah, and Mime, of course, Mime right there. And Mom is clearing the plates and waiting on everybody, and she's smiling. She probably wanted to sit down and enjoy her meal. And there we are at my aunt's house. There she is. It's her house there. And my dad had bandages on his eyes there. There's all of us at Olivia's house. And my mom right there in the red. And that was an unusual time because my dad had to have, he had a detached retina. And he's had eye problems, challenges. He had to go to Boston and have something done to his, retina to reattach it or something. And I think I was about 12 or almost 12. And Mom basically had to take everything over. She was mowing the lawn because he couldn't do anything for a week or two, I guess. And she was doing everything. She was Mom and Dad, superwoman, superhero. So, with this Zazoo Plazz superhero stuff, it kind of has its roots in women like my mom, who, when necessary, could rise to the occasion. And that's kind of like what I'm thinking about. Lately I've been thinking about our personal power, and how if you're in hot, women are like tea bags. When you don't know how strong you are unless you're thrown into hot water. It's the readings today were from Paul's letter to the Corinthians, and Paul was really my mother's saint because her name was Pauline. And the quote was, "Power is made perfect in weakness. When I am weak, then I am strong. Boast gladly of weakness. My grace is sufficient to sustain you." Isn't that powerful? Yeah. And faith, that's it. We have faith in ourselves, in God, Spirit, the universe, source, right? Jesus, whatever your inclination is. If you have faith, that you will be protected, that you will be sustained. That's what keeps you going. Faith in the divine within yourself. And my mother's always been strong in that. People have been coming forward and saying that she was a very special lady, that they remember conversations they've had with her. And that's very powerful. But, growing up with my mom, I often thought she was perfect. And she was in the divine sense. But I took it upon myself to think that she was perfect in a physical sense, in the material world. And she she would tell me, "Oh, I'm far from perfect." She always strove for perfection, and I think she was always frustrated by her inability to, in her eyes, achieve it on this plane, But the perfection, what she left behind was it's pure love, and that is always perfect, if it's from your heart. So I was rummaging my scrapbooks. I touch them and they just kind of crumble. Things are kind of like crumbling around me. My husband told me today, we have to take the whole basement floor apart because these guys, 18 and 20-year-old testosterone-fueled males I have living in my house, are lifting these humongous weights, and then they bring them crashing to the floor, and I'm doing my workout, and I'm like, there's a gully here. There's like a dip in the floor because they're denting the concrete. Like, you can't make this stuff up. There are actual gouges in my floor from these guys dropping their weights. So fortunately, they're both going to go to the same school next year. So they can both work out at the fancy schmancy recreation center that they have there on campus. And then they won't be making huge gouges in my basement floor. Now, any of you who have guys or are guys, you can maybe relate. If you have girls, maybe not. Girls do other things. But my basement floor, I'm not making it up. It has humongous gouges in it. And I hear things like, ooh, crash. I'm like, what the heck was that? Okay, that's like 200 pounds of barbell coming crashing down. And my husband's like, okay, one thing at a time, one thing at a time. So anyway, I found this this is from 1985. It was from my birthday, but it says, A Daughter's Loving Ways. And it's got clam, is that a clam, a starfish, shells. My husband and I, for our anniversary the other day, we took a day trip down to the Connecticut shore. And we always go and pick up shells and things. And so we brought them back. And, one of the angels my mom gave me is an angel with a seashell. And I'm thinking of you, is what it says. So, a daughter's blessing that comes from above. She's a special and beautiful treasure to love. It says Marjorie Frances Ames. So there's a nice poem there about daughters and a little seahorse. And it says, she noted that always the date, 20 years old. She says, Dear Leslie, no words can describe the warm memories, the pride, and the gratitude, too, that come from having a daughter to love and cherish like you. Happy birthday, all our love, Mom and Dad. And you see here, she made a mistake. I don't know if you could see that. And she whited it out. And then she put P.S. You'll notice your mother made a mistake. So you see, she's actually far from perfect. Two little smiley faces there. She always drew those little round smiley faces. So I read that and I thought, oh, she's sending me messages. She's saying, you thought I was perfect, but I wasn't. I had challenges like you. I had frustrations and, in her mind. But the love that went into this was perfect. It's, you ever have one of those, you're trying to write out a nice card. That's why I do mine on the computer now, because if you screw up, then you can just backspace. But you used to have to, looks like she erased it or something. And so that's interesting. My mother was not perfect, although, somehow when I was growing up, it seemed that way. This can be a daunting thing for a person like me who I have very high standards, and ask anybody who's ever worked with me. That's why I work alone mostly, because my standards are so high. But I'm learning to be accepting. That doesn't mean that you lower your standards, but instead it means that you see through the lens of love and forgiveness and acceptance that everybody's dealing with their own stuff. I mean, especially right now, right? You look around, nature's not, look at all these fallen things, but the chaos is necessary in order to, advance, to evolve to the next level. And this place we're on, this earth, it was never, it was kind of, like when they go out in the desert and they like test things, like, I don't know, nuclear things, and my son works for a helicopter company here in Connecticut, and he says, oh, they're going to show me the rotors on the helicopter. They're going to let me see how they test things. And what we don't see very often is all of the mistakes that go into evolution and evolve, and that's why our founders of our country created a system that, could be flexible and adapt to changes in society. The laws don't stay the same. They evolve, right? They get amended. The country. Look how many changes we've been through as a country, as the United States. How many changes we've been through as people during our lives, and that never stops. So, as the thing, boast gladly of weakness, so Christ's power will dwell within me. So that's where I find a lot of my humor, you'll notice, in Zazoo Plazz. I talk about the grandiose plans that went awry. And, there's a certain sense of humility in that, where I bare my soul to the world and I say, look, I'm not perfect. In fact, let me tell you what happened on the way to here today, right? My mother-in-law is sitting out on my deck. I'll go home. She's going to have a meal. My husband always says, oh, we'll just throw some burgers and dogs on the grill. This is another guy thing. Like, ladies, yeah, but meat and a roll do not make a meal, okay? What guys do not realize that my mother did, you gotta have a potato salad, a macaroni salad or something. You gotta have a nice little green salad. You need to have some, some drinks, some lemonade. You need more. He'd be happy standing up with a beer and a freaking hot dog. And he calls them dogs. He doesn't call them hot dogs. It's just burgers and dogs. And just, because I was brought up with people who, a meal would take all afternoon. There'd be chips and there'd be, drinks and fruit and vegetable platters and, beautiful surroundings, the beach, and, there needs to be a certain harmony and a certain beauty to entertaining, You can't just slap a burger on the grill and eat it standing up, because then your body's like, your soul is like, well, that's all I'm worth, that's it. And my soul says to me, oh, I want to try some new salads. I want to try, I want to have something fancy. I can't spend the rest of my life sitting on a lawn chair eating burgers and dogs with a can of soda. I just can't. There are finer things in life waiting for me to discover. And I'm going to discover them. It's a little frustrating, at times, when you have a taste for the finer things in life, and you're living in the campground. I don't know. sometimes all you can do is just take a deep breath and let it out. Let it all out. Let it all go. And accept and love yourself where you are. Yeah. And have faith. Because if you get too highfalutin, somebody will come up to put you in your place. Who do you think you are? Aren't you so-and-so who went to such and such a school and so-and-so's kid from, who do you think you are? Talking about all this stuff. You're going to get out of the bucket. You're going to go and speak in to all kinds of people in all kinds of places. Experience life to the fullest. Who do you think you are? You grew up in East Booneyville with me. Who do you think you are? Getting up on your high horse. Well, this country started out as a dream, didn't it? Which means nothing is impossible. Nothing. If you dream it, you can do it. You just have to put in the work. So, I guess I'm done spouting off for today. My poor dog was shaking because people were shooting off fireworks last night. Like, now that's a complete waste of time. Ooh. Look up in the sky. There's plenty of entertainment up there. Lots going on up there. Plus you don't, scare the dogs and burn your fingers and, smells. So, aim high. Aim for the sky. Be like a firework. Instead of shooting them off, see yourself. Like Katy Perry. Oh, Katy Perry. Firework. That's a good song for today, too. I saw her in concert a couple years ago. Out at the casinos. So, see yourself like a firework crossing the sky. Yeah. Till next week. Zazoo Plazz. Aim for the skies. I hope you have a spectacular 4th, spectacular week. I hope you have a magnificent feast for yourself of whatever lifts you up. Whether it's burgers and dogs or something a little more, little higher sustenance. Whatever it is, enjoy. See you next week. Bye-bye.